Hello, everybody, and welcome to this second episode of Tuesdays with Luther concerning the Christian life. Now, last week we talked about our devotional life. It begins in baptism, in the means of grace, and we receive the means of grace in the divine service. So the most important aspect of our devotional life is the Sunday morning divine service, or whatever day of the week you have the divine service. That time where we receive the gifts of Christ that He purchased and won for us on the cross, forgiveness, life, and salvation. We are fed the gospel. We receive the means of grace. We are nourished in the divine service. It is that time where we receive from God, God serving us. But then we don't have that divine service every day, so what do we do the other days of the week? Well, we can try to begin a devotional life, and sometimes that's difficult. We start searching for devotional booklets or things we can be doing. Or we even say, you know what, I'm going to try to read the Bible this whole year. I'm going to start with Genesis 1 and work my way to the end of Revelation. And that first month, maybe you do a good job. You get through Genesis, and you get through maybe those first 20 chapters of Exodus, but then it starts slowing down because you get into that time in Israel's history where it's a little dry. It's more just knowing that history, at least how we see it. And by the time you finally get through Leviticus into, Deuteronomy, Numbers, you start drifting. And you just stop because it's discouraging. So instead of doing that, or even, let's say, even worse, maybe going to your local Christian bookstore and just finding a devotional booklet going, well, this is devotions for women, or devotions for men, or devotions for family. Sometimes those devotional booklets can be helpful, but they don't leave you in the gospel. They leave you with you having to do something, especially the evangelical material. It leaves it with the ball's in your court now. Yes, God has started it, but you have to make sure you stay in. Instead, I encourage you to purchase one book for your daily devotional life, and it's the hymnal. I said this last week. Instead of just having the hymnal at church, have your own personal hymnal. And what I mean by personal is each individual has their own hymnal. So if you're a family of 5, have 5 hymnals. Dad has one, mom has one, kids have one. Or if it's just you, then you have one. Or a couple, you don't have a couple's hymnal, each have a hymnal. Have a hymnal. And I'd recommend this to start your devotional life. First, purchase that hymnal. Get the Lutheran service book, because that's at least the one at Christ Lutheran that we use. So have the hymnal we use on Sunday morning. And then, to begin, the first, I'd say, to begin that devotional life, begin with this page right here, page 295, the short little service of morning prayer. It starts with the invocation, and then some versicles from the Psalms, and then you do a hymn. Now, you can try to pick a hymn, but usually we'll just pick a hymn we like. I would say do this. Take one of the hymns you sang the previous Sunday, be it the sermon hymn, the opening hymn, the closing hymn, one of the communion hymns. Pick that hymn, and each day that week, as you do your devotion, sing that hymn. That one hymn, Monday through Saturday, from the divine service you had this past Sunday. And after you sing that hymn, you have an appointed reading. Now, there's recommended readings here in the page, or you can take the readings you did this past Sunday, the Old, the Epistle, and the Gospel. Read those 3 first, and then maybe pick one book of the Bible that you would like to go through. My recommendation would be starting with either Romans or John, the Gospel according to St. John. One of those two. And picking and taking it apart, taking verses in it, taking like a chunk of 20 or a chunk of 30 verses and reading it. Then you have a portion from the Small Catechism. Take the Small Catechism and just start with the first commandment and start reciting it. You shall have no other gods. What does this mean? We should fear, love, and trust in God above all things, and work your way through the Catechism. Then you have the Apostles' Creed, the Lord's Prayer, another prayer, Luther's morning prayer, and then a short benediction. And then, in the evening, if you desire to do an evening devotion, you also have a devotion for the close of the day, which is on page 298. And it's a similar format. You have the Creed, the Lord's Prayer, the invocation, hymnody, and it can be a blessing. So my recommendation to begin your devotion is to do these short 2 little devotionals, one in the morning and one in the evening, taking from the hymns you sang the previous Sunday, from the readings you did the previous Sunday, looking in the hymnal. The other great part about this hymnal is it has a reading list of daily scripture readings that you can read from throughout the week. And what a blessing that is to have it. It starts on page 299 and goes through page 304 in the hymnal. And it's the season of the church year. So we did Trinity 10 this past Sunday. And once it gets in the season of Trinity, it just goes by dates. So today, you would go to August 5th, and it's 1 Samuel 19 and Acts 28. So you just read from those two, maybe one in the morning, one in the evening. So that would be the beginning of the devotional life. Taking short little devotions, it only takes 10, maybe 12 minutes to do. Do it by yourself, do it with your family, pray together, and that's a great first step in devotional life. Letting it flow from the divine service to our everyday life. God bless each and every one of you. May God continue to richly bless you this week, keeping you in your baptismal grace, and bring you again to Sunday in order to receive the gifts He desires to give to you. God bless you.